In our previous video, we discussed about the meaning of passbook and what is the importance of bank reconciliation. What is the meaning of reconciliation date? Why do we prepare reconciliation? All these things we discussed. Agreed? In today's video, what we are going to discuss is, we are going to discuss about the causes of further differences between passbook and cash book. What are the causes? What are those causes? The difference between passbook and cash book. That is one. And we are also going to focus on some important differences between these two books. We will focus and discuss about those important aspects with examples. Okay, are you ready for that? Hi, my name is Krishna Akumalla. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Without wasting much time, let me take you through the presentation. Okay, guys. What are the causes of difference between passbook and cash book? That is what we are going to discuss about. The first and foremost difference is timing difference. What do you mean by timing difference? Let us say I issued a check. I issued a check to the supplier. So I, in the sense business, when we issue the check to the supplier, what entry we write? Supplier account debit to bank account. Am I right? Do you agree with that? This is the entry we write. Supplier account debit to bank account credit. So as soon as this entry is posted, we will record this transaction in our 3-columnar cash book. We record this transaction in 3-column cash book under bank column, right? Then this check will be given to the supplier. What supplier does? He will take the check. At times, he will immediately deposit into the bank, or he might take some time. He might take maybe 10 days, 15 days, or 1 month to deposit the check. Meanwhile, within that 1 month, before the supplier presents the check to the bank, if you start preparing the reconciliation, what will happen? If you start preparing the reconciliation, you have recorded this transaction in your books of accounts, but your banker wouldn't have recorded that. Why? The check was not presented by the supplier. Since the check was not presented by the supplier, banker wouldn't have made the payment to the supplier. Since banker wouldn't have made the payment to the supplier, he wouldn't have recorded the transaction in bank books, in our account in bank books, right? So obviously there will be a difference. How come this difference has come? This difference has come because of the timing. As soon as I issued the check to my supplier, I immediately recorded this. As soon as I issued the check, I immediately recorded in my books. But a banker did not. Why banker did not? Because supplier did not present the check. Right? That is timing difference. Because supplier took time to present it. Supplier took 1 month for presenting the check. So obviously, the difference will come between passbook and cash book, and that difference is mainly because of timing. Getting my point? Another important point. I deposited a check into the bank. Let us say I received a check from X. I received a check from X and I immediately deposited. When I immediately deposit the check into the bank, which I received from X, what entry I write? I debit bank account debit, and credit X account. Because the giver is X, receiver is bank. So bank account debit to X account. This entry I wrote. And what I will do as soon as I wrote this entry, I will debit my 3-column receipt side in under bank column. I will post this transaction. 3-column debit side, I will post this transaction. because it is a receipt, deposit. Now, banker took the check. He took nearly 4 or 5 days for him to collect the check. It took 4 or 5 days for him to collect the check. So within these 4 or 5 days, when I start, preparing the reconciliation, by the time banker wouldn't have collected this amount created in my bank passbook. So what will happen? I recorded in my books, banker did not record. Why banker did not record? Because it took 4 days for him to collect that amount. Within these 4 days, before he collects the check amount from the customers, I started preparing the reconciliation. When I start preparing the reconciliation, before he collects the check, obviously that amount wouldn't have been created in the bank books, passbook, because banker is yet to collect that amount. No, he wouldn't have recorded. If he wouldn't have recorded, when I extract the passbook and start comparing with my cash book, there will be a difference. Why? Because I recorded, but banker did not record. So my balance versus bank balance will differ. So why this difference has come? What made us to get this difference between these two books? Because of the timing. Because of timing. Next, transactions. There are various transactions which bank carries out by itself without intimating to the customer. What is this? Bank, without informing the customer, they will record some of the transactions in our books. What are those transactions? Let us say if you have a savings account, every month they give some interest account credit. So what they do, they go to passbook. That interest is income for us. So what did I say in passbook? Debit side we record payments, credit side we record receipts. In cash book, debit and credit. Here receipts and here payments. Here cash book means what? Cash book, bank columns. You should never forget that point. Even my previous video also I told you. When I say cash book, here cash book, bank columns. So you should never ever forget this point. Cash book is nothing but cash book, only bank columns I am referring. Here passbook is our account in banker books. Clear? Now, some of the transactions, for example, savings account I have. That savings account interest, monthly once banker will credit to my account. My account is in banker books, right? So he will go to passbook and he will credit, say, 200 rupees interest created in my account. So as soon as he credit this amount, he has to communicate to us saying that there is an interest of 200 rupees created to your account. They don't communicate. What they will do, once when you go to the bank and request them to update the passbook, you give your passbook and they will update the passbook and give it to you. Once you come to office and go through your passbook, you will see 200 rupees credit here. They would have created 2 days back, but you wouldn't have recorded that amount because there is no communication from the banker saying that he has created this 200 rupees in your account. So when there is no communication, you wouldn't have recorded in cash book. You wouldn't have recorded in cash book. During that period, see, during that period means what? He has created this on, let us say, on 28th January. He created this 200 rupees on 28th January, right? You went to the bank for passbook update on 2nd February. You went to the bank for passbook update on 2nd February. So between these two dates, 28th January to 2nd February, there is no entry here. Why there is no entry? Because he credited this amount on 28th January. You are not aware, so you did not record. When did you go to the bank for passbook update? Passbook update, you went on 2nd February. 2nd February, you went. By the time that transaction got updated in the passbook. Fine. But You started preparing reconciliation on 31st January. You started preparing, comparing these two balances when? You started comparing these two balances on 31st January. Where is this 31st January? This 31st January is in between 28th January and 2nd February. Are you getting my point? So when you are doing this reconciliation on 31st January, this amount was there in the bank books, but it is not there in our cash book. When? On 31st January. Why this was not there in our cash book? Bank credited, but you went to the bank on 2nd February and you did not get these details on 31st January. So when you are preparing this on 31st January, you did not record this 200 transaction in your cash book. So obviously there is a difference. So the savings account interest will be credited in your passbook by the banker, but you did not debit in your cash book because you did not get that communication. You got it later. But by the time you prepared the reconciliation, that time that amount was not communicated to us. Hence, you did not record. Since you did not record this here, there will be a difference between passbook and cash book. Are you getting my point? So, this is one. Second thing is, you would have given this is passbook, this is cash book. Here we write payments, here we write receipts. Here we write receipts, here we write payments. I'll give you one more example. You have given standard instructions to the banker asking them to collect some dividends, asking them to pay certain amount to your utility bills. You gave standard instructions to them, asking them to pay your mobile bill. All these instructions you have given to them. So banker has done all those transactions. Will he be doing for free of cost? No, right? He will definitely charge some amount. That amount, what he will do, as soon as he complete those services, they will debit our account with the charges. Let us say 300 rupees they debited, passbook debit side payments, credit side receipts, right? So they debited our account 300 rupees. Why? Because they did some services for us, so they charged this 300. Passbook in the sense in our books, in their bank books, but it is not. So they recorded in bank books, but you did not record in cash book because you don't have that communication. You don't have that communication. Since you don't have that communication, you wouldn't have recorded this. Obviously, what will happen when you compare these two balances on one particular day? This transaction is not recorded here. Since this transaction is not recorded in cash book, you see the difference between these two. So this is one of the reasons why you are getting the difference. Are you getting my point? So what is this? Another important cause for the difference. The another important cause for the difference is some of the transactions banker would have debited or credited our accounts, but you wouldn't have recorded them. Another example I'll give you. You would have asked your customer to go and directly pay that amount in your bank account. So that customer went and deposited that amount. Let us say 10,000 rupees he deposited. Your customer, your business customer, he deposited directly 10,000 rupees in your bank account. Fine, well and good. But that communication has not come to us. Either banker has to communicate or customer has to communicate to us saying that, boss, I deposited 10,000 rupees in our account. Both of them did not communicate to us. Since they did not communicate to us, this 10,000 rupees I wouldn't have recorded in my cash book. Why? Because there is no communication. Then I started preparing the reconciliation. When I started preparing the reconciliation, I got to know that this 10,000 was deposited by the customer, but since there is no communication, that was not recorded in the cash book. So there is a difference. So this is also a transaction recorded by the banker. but communication is not passed on to us, because of which the difference is coming. So these transactions also another cause for the difference. Are you getting my point? The third one is errors. Errors can happen. Who can make the who can commit the errors? The errors can be committed by us. Errors can be committed by banker also. What kind of errors? Let us take one or two examples. Sorry, one or two examples. This is passbook. This is cash book. Here payments, receipts, receipts. So I deposited 2,000 rupees check. I deposited 2,000 rupees check into the bank. So what entry I write? Bank account debit to either cash account, or maybe that check was received from X, so I created X account. So I deposited 2,000 rupees worth of check in bank. So my cash book, I debited that as 2,000 rupees, right? I'm supposed to debit in cash book. This is, what did I say? This is bank columns. Cash book means bank columns. But while depositing, what I did is, instead of depositing in bank column, I deposited this in 2,000 in cash column. What did I do? I deposited this in cash column. The minute I deposit this in cash column, it will not appear in the bank columns at all. Here, whatever I'm talking about cash book, as I said previously, this is only bank columns. This is only referring to bank columns. But what I did, I deposited this 2,000 rupees and I debited that in my 3-column cash book, but I debited that in cash column, not under bank column. I'm supposed to debit that in bank column, but by mistake I did in cash column. So when I balance this, this is not there. This 2,000 is not there. Obviously, this amount will have a difference here. When I compare with passbook, there will be a difference, because 2,000 he would have collected and he must be showing in receipt side, but I am not seeing that in receipt side of my bank column, because that amount I incorrectly recorded in cash column. So that is an error committed by me. Are you getting my point? So this is also another reason why there will be a difference. Another best example. This is passbook, this is cash book. Every time I need to explain this with this kind of, then you will understand. This is payments, this is receipts. This is receipts, this is payments. What banker did is, some other person deposited in his account. So let us say this is Krishna passbook. Okay. Rama also has his account in the same bank. Let us say this is State Bank of India. State Bank of India. Krishna has account in SBI for his business. Rama also has his business account in State Bank of India. Rama deposited 2,000 rupees check in the bank. But we are working for Krishna. We are not working for Rama. We are working for Krishna. So what Rama did, Rama deposited 2,000 check. What banker is supposed to do? He has to collect that 2,000 rupees check and credit to Rama account. Rama's passbook. This is Krishna's passbook. This is Krishna's passbook, because Krishna's passbook, Krishna's cash book we are preparing. But here what happened? Rama has also account in State Bank of India. He deposited this 2,000 rupees. Then what banker is supposed to do? This 2,000 rupees has to be credited in passbook of Rama. But what banker did is, by mistake, he credited that in passbook of Krishna. I will not record that because I have not deposited. Since I have not deposited the 2,000, I will not record the transaction in my cash book at all. I will not record the transaction in my cash book at all. But banker did. Why banker did? It was deposited by Rama, and banker is supposed to credit this amount in Rama's account. Instead of creating Rama's account, he created Krishna account. So that is an error. Because of this error, what will happen? When I balance my bank account, my balance and Krishna's passbook balance will not tally, because here 2000 rupees additionally it is showing. So there is a difference between these two books. So I need to rectify them. So ultimately what we are understood here is there are different reasons why the differences can appear. One is timing difference. I already explained with examples. Other one is transactions directly being entered by the banker, because of which the differences might come. And there could be some clerical mistakes. Because of those clerical mistakes also, you could see the difference between passbook and cash book. How to deal with them, we are going to learn all those things. And I thought of, completing the important around 9 to 10, transactions, how they are going to impact. But I cannot cover all those 10 transactions, 10, activities right now, because I have to explain in detail about, each transaction. Our video length will become, very big. So I'm stopping here, and I will explain about those 9, 10 important reasons why, how those reasons are going to have impact on passbook balance and cash book balance. That I will, take another video and I will upload that. Okay. So I'm stopping here. I hope you like the content. If you like the content, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with our friends and colleagues. Thank you so much.